In a striking shift of diplomatic tone, President Donald Trump has distanced himself from the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, declaring "not my problem" following a recent conversation with Russian President Vladimir Putin. This marks a significant pivot in U.S. foreign policy, raising questions about America's commitment to Ukraine and its relationship with traditional European allies. For months, Trump had been vocal about his intentions to broker peace between Russia and Ukraine, often boasting that he could resolve the conflict in a mere 24 hours. However, after a phone call with Putin, those assurances appear to have evaporated. Reports from 6 officials familiar with the discussions indicate that Trump has now urged Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and European leaders to seek their own solutions, effectively sidelining U.S. involvement in the negotiations. The policy since the beginning of the Trump administration has been to put pressure on the victim Ukraine, rather than the aggressor Russia, stated Bridget A. Brink, the former U.S. ambassador to Ukraine. She condemned Trump's approach as tantamount to appeasement, arguing that genuine peace cannot be achieved through neglecting the needs of a nation under siege. This latest maneuver follows a series of high-profile diplomatic encounters where Trump has made overtures to Putin while publicly undermining Ukraine's sovereignty. During his presidency, Trump has frequently criticized Ukraine, insinuating that the country bears some responsibility for its invasion. Critics have voiced concerns that this rhetoric, combined with his recent decisions, could embolden Russia and deepen the divide within NATO. Trump's decision to back away from a European campaign for new sanctions against Russia is particularly alarming for many observers. European leaders have signaled their intent to proceed with additional sanctions following recent Russian military actions, including drone strikes against Ukrainian cities. In contrast, Trump's administration appears poised to pivot towards fostering economic ties with Russia, a move that could fracture the long-standing unity within NATO. Secretary of State Marco Rubio defended the existing sanctions against Russia, asserting that they remain intact despite Trump's rhetoric. Rubio emphasized that the U.S. is still providing military support to Ukraine, a position that contradicts Trump's apparent withdrawal from direct involvement in the peace process. When Vladimir Putin woke up this morning, he had the same set of sanctions on him that he's always had since the beginning of this conflict, Rubio told the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Trump's newfound stance raises critical questions about the future of U.S. foreign policy, particularly in relation to Ukraine and Russia. With upcoming summits, including the Group of 7 and NATO meetings, the split between American and European strategies will likely be a focal point. European officials have expressed concern that Trump's approach could undermine NATO's collective security commitments, especially if the U.S. appears to retreat from its role as a stabilizing force in the region. As the conflict drags on, the implications of Trump's policy shift will extend beyond Ukraine's borders. The potential for increased Russian aggression, coupled with a weakening of U.S.-European ties, could have far-reaching consequences for global security. The coming weeks will reveal whether Trump's diplomatic strategy will resonate with American voters or lead to further isolation on the international stage. Ultimately, the question remains whether Trump is willing to re-engage with Ukraine and its allies, or if he will continue to embrace a more transactional approach to foreign policy that prioritizes business interests over long-standing alliances. As tensions escalate, the world watches closely to see how the U.S. will navigate this precarious geopolitical landscape. In a day marked by significant news events, the headlines dominated by political upheavals and tragic incidents reflect a nation grappling with both turmoil and change. Among the most striking stories is the recent shooting near the Jewish Museum in Washington, D.C., which resulted in the deaths of 2 Israeli embassy staffers. This incident not only raises alarm about security for diplomatic personnel but also stirs concerns about rising anti-Semitic sentiments across the United States. Local law enforcement agencies are working closely with federal authorities to investigate the shooting, which has left the Jewish community and international diplomatic circles in shock and mourning. As the investigation unfolds, community leaders are urging for increased security measures and a united front against hate crimes. This tragedy underscores the need for vigilance and solidarity within our communities, stated a representative from the Jewish Federation of Greater Washington. The incident serves as a grim reminder of the challenges faced by diplomatic missions and the broader implications of domestic political rhetoric that may embolden acts of violence. In a contrasting narrative, the political landscape in Washington is experiencing its own upheaval as the House of Representatives recently approved a massive tax and immigration package proposed by former President Donald Trump. This legislation aims to overhaul the current tax system while introducing stringent immigration policies. Supporters argue that the package will stimulate economic growth and secure the borders, but critics warn that it may disproportionately affect vulnerable populations and exacerbate income inequality. While we believe in the importance of tax reform, we must ensure that it does not come at the expense of those who are already struggling, commented a Democratic spokesperson. The passage of this bill is indicative of the Republican Party's continued influence in Congress as they navigate a politically charged environment leading up to the next election cycle. Adding to the changes in the media landscape, Kimi Yoshino, the founding editor-in-chief of the Baltimore Banner, has been named the new managing editor at The Washington Post. This appointment marks a strategic move for the publication as it seeks to enhance its editorial direction and adapt to the evolving demands of journalism in the digital age. Yoshino's extensive experience in local news and innovative reporting methods is expected to bring fresh perspectives to one of the nation's leading newspapers. I am excited to build on the Washington Post's legacy of excellence and to engage our readers in new and meaningful ways, Yoshino stated upon her appointment. As these stories unfold, they highlight a nation at a crossroads where the specter of violence coexists with political maneuvering and the continual evolution of media. The tragic loss of life at the Jewish Museum is a call to action against hate. While the political developments in Congress signal a potential shift in policy that could have lasting repercussions. Meanwhile, the changes within media organizations reflect the industry's ongoing adaptation to a rapidly changing landscape. As we look to the future, the interplay of these events will undoubtedly shape the societal fabric of the nation, prompting both reflection and action among citizens and leaders alike. In a world where global dynamics are increasingly interconnected, the statements of political leaders can reverberate far beyond their immediate context. Recent developments have drawn significant attention to former President Donald Trump's remarks regarding Russian President Vladimir Putin's stance on the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. According to exclusive reports from the Wall Street Journal, European officials have indicated that Trump conveyed to them his belief that Putin is not prepared to conclude the war. A claim that could have substantial implications for international relations and security strategies. During discussions with European leaders, Trump reportedly expressed skepticism about the likelihood of a peaceful resolution in Ukraine, highlighting a persistent uncertainty that has characterized the geopolitical landscape since the conflict's inception. One European official, speaking on condition of anonymity, stated Trump's insights reflect a deeper understanding of Putin's strategic calculations. It appears we are not close to a resolution, and this message needs to be understood across the Atlantic. This sentiment underscores the gravity of the situation as nations grapple with the ongoing consequences of the war, including economic instability and humanitarian crises. As the conflict continues to unfold, the implications for Europe are profound. The prospect of a drawn-out war threatens not only the stability of the region but also the broader global economy. The uncertainty surrounding energy supplies, food security, and migration patterns has already begun to strain relations among European nations, with some advocating for a more aggressive stance against Russia while others call for diplomacy. Trump's comments may reignite debates within Europe regarding the appropriate response to the conflict and the need for a unified approach. In parallel to the geopolitical discourse, domestic issues are also taking center stage in the U.S. The Treasury Department has recently announced plans to halt the production of the penny, a move that many see as a long overdue acknowledgement of the coin's dwindling utility. With the costs of production surpassing its face value, the penny has been criticized as a relic of a bygone era, and its discontinuation could streamline transactions and reduce costs for businesses and consumers alike. Moreover, the current fiscal landscape in the United States is becoming increasingly precarious, as rising deficits are unsettling bond traders and raising concerns about future economic stability. Analysts warn that this trend could lead to higher interest rates, which would further complicate the economic recovery post-pandemic. The markets are reacting to the uncertainty surrounding the deficit, noted one financial analyst. If we do not address these issues proactively, we may face long-term repercussions that could stifle growth and investment. As these multifaceted challenges unfold, it is clear that the path ahead will require careful navigation. The interplay between geopolitical tensions and domestic economic policies will likely define the upcoming months, with leaders on both sides of the Atlantic facing significant pressure to respond effectively to the evolving landscape. Moving forward, the importance of cooperation and strategic foresight cannot be overstated. As the world watches closely to see how these narratives will shape the future of international relations and economic policies alike. In a remarkable turn of events, Telegram has reported a staggering profit of $540 million for the year 2024, marking a significant turnaround from a reported loss of $173 million the previous year. This impressive financial performance comes at a time when the messaging platform's founder Pavel Durov is embroiled in legal challenges in France, posing potential threats to the company's leadership and operational integrity. According to a presentation shared with investors, Telegram's revenues surged to $1.4 billion in 2024, a substantial increase from just $343 million in 2023. This growth trajectory was primarily attributed to a sharp rise in paying users and strategic partnerships linked to the cryptocurrency it launched. As Telegram prepares to launch a $1.5 billion bond offering aimed at repurchasing existing debt, the company's financial resurgence suggests a robust business model that has resonated well with its global user base, which now exceeds 1 billion monthly active users. Durov's ongoing legal troubles, however, cast a shadow over this success. The founder was formally placed under investigation by French authorities in August 2024 for allegedly failing to adequately address criminal activities including child exploitation and terrorism on the platform. Despite these serious allegations, Durov has publicly denounced the investigations, claiming they are driven more by geopolitical motives than genuine concerns for user safety. He has also asserted that Telegram has taken significant steps to combat such issues, calling accusations of negligence a manipulation tactic. While the legal proceedings against Durov may pose challenges for the company, they have not deterred Telegram's ambitions for future growth. During discussions with potential investors regarding its impending bond sale, John Hyman, Telegram's chief investment officer, indicated that the company had met all its financial milestones and hinted at the possibility of an initial public offering IPO should market conditions improve. However, the ongoing investigation could complicate these plans, making it a focal point for investors seeking clarity on the company's future. The financial documents reveal that nearly half of Telegram's revenues in 2024 were derived from what it describes as partnerships and ecosystem, with additional contributions from advertising and premium subscriptions. A notable aspect of Telegram's recent success lies in its integration of the Ton blockchain and its associated cryptocurrency Toncoin, which has facilitated transactions within the app and enhanced user engagement through mini-apps developed by third-party creators. As Telegram continues to navigate its legal challenges, it has also identified opportunities in the burgeoning field of artificial intelligence. The company highlighted a new partnership with Elon Musk's AI group xAI, which has resulted in the integration of the Grok chatbot into its platform. This collaboration exemplifies Telegram's commitment to evolving its services while maintaining a strong stance on free speech, a principle shared by both Durov and Musk. Looking ahead, Telegram aims to achieve $2 billion in revenues in 2025, representing a 46% increase year-on-year, along with a projected profit of $720 million. With a substantial cash reserve of approximately $530 million as of February 2025, excluding its cryptocurrency assets, Telegram appears poised for continued growth even as it confronts significant legal and operational hurdles. In conclusion, Telegram's remarkable financial turnaround amidst legal peril underscores the complex landscape in which modern tech companies operate. While the company's growth trajectory is impressive, the potential implications of Durov's legal troubles could influence investor sentiment and future strategic decisions. As Telegram sets its sights on ambitious revenue goals and explores new technological avenues, the coming months will be critical in determining how it navigates both its challenges and opportunities in a rapidly evolving digital landscape. In a landmark decision with significant implications for the intersection of education and religion in the United States, the Supreme Court has ruled against the establishment of the nation's first taxpayer-funded religious charter school in Oklahoma. The court's 4-4 split ruling issued on May 22, 2025 leaves intact a lower court's decision that deemed the proposed St. Isidore of Seville Catholic virtual school unconstitutional under the First Amendment's Establishment Clause. The case, which had drawn national attention, involved two Catholic dioceses seeking to establish the school as a public charter alternative operating under state funding. The proposal aimed to provide virtual education from kindergarten through high school while integrating religious instruction into its curriculum. The lower court previously found that this integration would violate constitutional limits on government involvement in religion, underscoring the ongoing tension between the First Amendment's establishment and free exercise clauses. With Justice Amy Coney Barrett recusing herself due to her ties as a former law professor at Notre Dame Law School, the court was left with only 8 justices to deliberate. When the Supreme Court is evenly divided, the lower court's decision is upheld without further commentary from the justices. While the exact voting alignment among the justices remains undisclosed, it is anticipated that the 3 liberal justices supported the ruling, raising questions about which conservative justice may have sided with them. The ruling follows a pattern of increasing scrutiny on religious charter schools, with opponents arguing that such institutions could compel taxpayers to fund religious indoctrination and potentially undermine principles of non-discrimination. Supporters, however, see this decision as a setback in their efforts to expand educational options for families. Oklahoma's Republican Attorney General Gentner Drummond, who initiated the lawsuit, stated his commitment to preventing state-funded religious education, a sentiment echoed by Governor Kevin Stitt. The implications of this ruling extend beyond Oklahoma, as advocates for religious charter schools may continue to seek avenues to challenge the decision in future cases. Legal experts believe that attempts to navigate the complexities of the First Amendment will remain a contentious issue in American educational policy. As this debate continues, stakeholders on both sides are poised to monitor how state and federal courts will interpret the boundaries of religious education in public schooling. Given the current political climate and ongoing discussions about the role of religion in public life, the Supreme Court's decision signals a pivotal moment in the evolution of educational policy in America. Future developments will likely reflect a broader societal dialogue on the balance between religious freedom and the imperative for secular governance in public education. In an era where technology is seamlessly woven into the fabric of daily life, the paradox of progress often presents itself in the most unexpected ways. Frank Bruni, a seasoned opinion writer for the New York Times, recently shared his own tumultuous experience with upgrading to a new iPhone, a journey that mirrored the complexities faced by many who navigate the increasingly intricate world of digital devices. As he recounted, this transition, which should have been straightforward, became mired in confusion and frustration, highlighting the irony that accompanies modern conveniences. Bruni's tale begins with his decision to replace his old iPhone, a device that had become more of an annoyance than an asset. With the looming threat of tariff-induced price hikes and a device that was barely functional, he ventured to a Verizon store expecting a quick upgrade. However, the reality was far from his expectations. The sales representative's lengthy explanation of pricing and plans left him bewildered, and the promised data transfer process took 3 hours instead of the anticipated 60 minutes. The paradoxes of progress. Bruni mused, pointing out the growing complexity that often accompanies technological advancements. His narrative reflects a broader societal trend, as devices become more sophisticated. The user experience can become increasingly convoluted. The very innovations that are designed to streamline tasks such as smart home devices and app-controlled systems often lead to additional layers of frustration. Bruni's personal anecdotes about struggles with his Ring doorbell and Sonos sound systems serve as relatable examples of this phenomenon. After all, for every moment of efficiency gain there is often a corresponding setback, leaving users tangled in a web of password settings and troubleshooting. The article further delves into the generational divide in technology adoption, with Bruni acknowledging that younger individuals may adapt with greater ease to the complex digital landscape. Yet he argues that regardless of age, everyone grapples with the overwhelming barrage of notifications, emails, and digital interfaces that demand constant attention. The burden of managing communication across multiple platforms adds to the fatigue, making the once simple act of corresponding feel like a Herculean task. Bruni's reflections resonate deeply in today's fast-paced world, where the relentless march of technology often feels like a double-edged sword. While innovations undeniably enhance our lives, allowing us to summon rides, manage schedules, and connect with others, they also introduce new challenges that can sap our energy and patience. He poignantly captures this struggle, remarking on how the noise of digital life can feel overwhelming as it distracts from the very conveniences it promises to provide. As he concludes his commentary, Bruni expresses a certain envy for those who choose to disconnect from the digital realm. The allure of a simplified existence free from the incessant demands of technology is a sentiment that many can relate to. Yet, as he humorously notes, the prospect of giving up modern comforts, like streaming services and instant communication, poses its own set of challenges. This reflection on technology's dual nature invites readers to contemplate their own relationship with the devices that pervade their lives. As society continues to evolve alongside these innovations, the question remains: how can we strike a balance between embracing the benefits of technology while mitigating its inherent complexities? The future holds promise, but it will require a collective effort to navigate the intricate landscape of digital life with grace and resilience.